Alrighty, guys, we're just going to go through this really quick so we can get ready for Dr. Blanchard. Thanks for coming, everyone. The OT1s have a class meeting right now, so that explains why our OT1 friends are not here. Alrighty, so we're going to talk about memories in the making and creative canvas. So a lot of you went to the memories in the making training with Dr. Tinnis, and for those of you who didn't, it was a really great training. Basically, it's catered towards people who have dementia and helping them. Well, we learned about this in class, but a review is not bad, I guess. But it helps just kind of to provide like communication, even just for them with their families, and just an artistic outlet. When language isn't really there anymore, they can still express themselves in this way, which is really cool. So for the creative canvas portion, where we're helping an aging population at the friendship program, we were thinking about doing something kind of like memories in the making. So that'd be really fun. Alrighty, so that's Friday, February 19th from noon to 1:30 at the friendship program. And please volunteer to lead, especially if you've had the training. Again, it's a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun last year. And then I'll be leading the other painting workshop the same day at the friendship program with the adults with mental illness. So I still have to come up with an idea of what to paint. So if anyone has any ideas of kind of step-by-step paintings to do, I'm very open to that. Alrighty, and then we also have a survey that we'd like everyone to take if they could, just to talk about what they've liked with creative occupations so far, and then what we can improve upon, if there's any populations you'd like us to serve more. Just kind of trying to set up the first year students so they're off to a good start next year when we're all done. And Dr. Blanchard, who will be here momentarily. Should I stop the broadcast call or pause it? Okay. Well, Dr. Blanchard will be here soon. Please do that. You don't need to know how to paint. I don't really know how to paint my leather shop last year, so. Have you gotten any better appreciation in class? I did not. I think Lonnie I just signed up to lead though, so why are we not doing that? That's a lot of fun. They love it. They're so thankful that we're doing that. And like, they're so proud of their work. I can't wait to like bring it home. It's fun. I can run over really well. Because it's my borrow. Are you still working on your game? It's 5. Really? 8. Oh, Kelly, I didn't even know you were living here. I got here late. Oh. Hold on. 4 years. But yep. So you can laugh right there. No one like when I started like 37. No, we don't like that. Yeah, last year. September. Seriously? Yeah, so like for Julie years they had so 3 months, but you take it, once you do it, they have like a rod and it's like different thicknesses for like different sizes. And so she for around 3 years here. Thank you. 27. 37. Oh, wait, February 9th. If you want to hold her legs, there's a she has a lot of fancy stuff. She'll like color, she'll like. The OC runs have a class meeting, and they decided on that like last minute, kind of like last week. Unfortunately, otherwise we would have more. anymore, so we apologize for that. But we're recording it.
That means
with that, yeah, so that they can see it. So that computer's recording.
okay, so this I need to take down so that I can, well, never mind. I think I can.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, you don't need it anymore.
Back.
Time on your plan.
I'm hopefully this will work. And hopefully it'll stay on. This is really informal.
That's fine.
Very.
Okay, you're an informal. Like informal.
Okay. Now I have to bring some things. And at the risk of being redundant to talk about this. Maybe not. Maybe. Oh, that means I have to talk from this side. Okay.
We could move it too if you wanted more space to move around. Maybe we could put it on the 19th.
I'm not going to talk about those. I'm going to just talk about this. I think that, and I'll bring it up. Okay, ready. All right. I always get excited whenever I have an opportunity to talk about creative occupations because I don't think we use them enough in our practice like we used to, and we use them across the lifespan. And so before I get started, I want to revisit some of the historical perspectives of arts and crafts for OT. And one of them is, if I can get this book put up here, this is occupational therapy, the first 30 years. Some of you, have you seen this book? Oh, well, it's kind, let me see if I can get this. Okay. The cool thing about this book is it's a historical perspective of what happened in OT from the 1900s up to 1930. And at first, you can see that all of these women made up who was doing OT at that time. And what they really wanted, let me see if I can get the lights down. Oh, that's okay. That's a little bit better. Too dark. Don't be too dark. Got a glare on it. So glare is really a huge thing. Oh, that's better. Okay. But when you look at this picture, you can see that these women were primarily nurses, and that's who was doing OT at that time. And really, what's really funny to me is they asked for a few women who were excited about working in OT. And if you look at their faces, how excited do they look? So they may not be the most excited people about working in OT, but they brought a lot to the table. So they were primarily nurses. Okay, so I'm going to take you through another historical perspective here. Go back here. And we're going to look at this from Willard and Spackman. And this is one of the first editions of Willard and Spackman. I know, isn't this amazing? I guess I should show this on the dot cam, because when you look at the Willard and Spackman textbook, this one was actually $5. Okay, and I used to run around and tell people, God, I hope I never look like Willard and Spackman. They have these little glasses on, and they wear a little bun in the back of their hair, and we all turn into Willard and Spackman at some time. Okay, but when you look at Willard and Spackman, and you look at the print, I'm going to read a couple of things to you. You will just be amazed. Okay. If you think about where we are now with occupational therapy and where we were then, and let me see if I can give you the date on the publication of this book. I think it was 1947. 1947. That'll put it in perspective for you. One of the first chapters says that occupational therapy prior to the 20th century. And it says ancient records show that the Egyptians actually used recreation, and the Greeks used it as well. They used physical gains to train people, and they used it to employ people to train other people to engage in occupation. Okay. Willard and Spackman went on to say in chapter 2 a definition of OT. Now, here, listen to this definition now, and listen to how we say what it is today. Occupational therapy is an activity, mental or physical, medically prescribed and professionally guided to aid a patient in recovery from disease or injury. Have we changed a lot since 1947? Okay. Then when you start to think, I'm going way over here to classifications. Occupational therapy can be classified as active or passive. So if you think about where we are today, we don't say diversional anymore, but their third classification is diversional, or psychological or functional activities, are two terms that we constantly use to classify occupational therapy. The other thing that I wanted to share with you from this one was, where do we work? Okay. It can be physiological, psychological, physiological, in hospitals, home health, but they didn't call it home health, they call it home service, okay? Children, Army and Navy hospitals, and veterans hospitals, and curative workshops. So that's a little bit from Willard and Spackman. If you go on, how many people remember Dutton? You talked about Dutton in your OT1 class, okay? And I think this is interesting because Dutton was a physician. He goes, the choice of occupation, all right? The choice of occupation or craft from which the desired results are to be gained will depend on a number of factors. Some can be quickly disposed of, such as age and sex, okay? Of paramount importance is the factor of interest. So what do we call interest in occupations today? We say it has to have meaning. So we're not too far away from that today, okay? If we go to, and I'm going to try to make this really less painful for you, page 38 on Dutton. Okay, we did that. Oh, it says principles of guiding the selection of activity. See if this sounds like your activity analysis. The work should be carried out with a cure in mind. The work should be interesting. The patient should be carefully studied while they're performing this activity. It should be or have some useful end, so that there should be a useful product at the end. And do we always have a product at the end of what we do in therapy? Okay, is it tangible? It should be carried out on and with others, okay? And the patient should always be encouraged. I think that we do that quite well, okay? On page number 51, it says writing the prescription for OT. We do have a prescription. Okay, what's it called when you don't need a prescription for OT? What do we call that today? Direct access. We didn't have direct access back then, all right? The psychiatrist must accept the responsibility for indicating when the patient is ready for occupational therapy. And we do that a lot. The doctors still tell us when they think the client is ready. Or for some of us, we're really what? Proactive. And we tell them when we think the patient, we ask for an order up front. So that's a good thing. We have had probably 3 books that really focus on creative occupations and occupational therapy. One is the Margaret Drake book, okay? And Margaret was probably one of the pioneers in using not only clay, but macrame and ceramics, copper tooling. Copper tooling was used way back in the Veterans Administration Hospital, and we used it not only in physical rehabilitation, but also we used it in psychosocial rehabilitation. And I'll pass these books around. But one of the things that Margaret did in the 2nd edition, she was at the University of Mississippi, Jackson, and she worked here for a short period of time. I got to know her very well. But one of the things that Margaret did was she took some of the occupational therapy assessments, like the Allen cognitive levels, and she actually went through and said, these are the assessments that have a creative occupation or a craft activity associated with it. And you can see that the ACL is high on the list. You see one that you use now. We use draw a person, okay? And when we use draw a person, we're looking for what? Body scheme, okay? And typically with body scheme, we're looking at, do they neglect a part of their body, okay? House tree person, Lafayette Clinic battery. But you can see if you look down the list that she's tried to put them together. If you look at Margaret's craft activities that she addresses, you can see there's paper crafts, cooking, computer art, art techniques, there's mosaics, ceramics, weaving, needlework, leatherwork, and woodworking. And so you would be, unless you're in a psychosocial setting that's long-term, frequently you don't see these. But I am a big proponent of using creative occupations in phys rehab. I can do my constraint-induced therapy, limit one hand, and then have them paint with a large paintbrush with the other. So I can incorporate that into what I'm doing. And most clients enjoy, how much ADL can you do? Sometimes they want to do something other than just ADL. So that's of interest to them. Johnson, Lobdell, and Nesbitt, and Claire also have a craft book for occupational, craft textbook, and it's called Therapeutic Crafts, and it's some of the same thing. But this one, we have some jewelry making, using yarn, that kind of thing, okay? We also have another occupational therapist, Estelle Bernice, who wrote another book on occupational therapy activity from play to computers, okay? I pretty much know these books inside and out, what they have in there. I wanted to talk, I brought several craft activities today just to show you some things that are very simple that we can do in the clinic. It doesn't matter if this is rehab, it could be pediatrics, or it could be mental health. And the first one I want to talk about, I may have talked about this one in your clinical conditions course, but this one is one that one of our clients over at Emmanuel, they have a post-CDA group, it's like a support group, and they do one-handed wood carving. And they go once or twice a week, and one of the clients who comes to class, yeah, he did this one-handedly. It's amazing. Yeah, with the tools. And so he said, you will be impressed, Shirley, that I could do this. And I was definitely impressed. So he gave me one for a gift. So amazing what you can do with tools and using. Sometimes we don't have the correct tools in the clinic to do these things. And so you need to start thinking about, if I'm going to do wood carving one-handedly, how would I do this? And if you can't carve with the tools, sometimes we use wood burning, because then you can do it with one-handedly, okay? Actually, Dr. Padilla brought these back from Ecuador. And these are carved spoons that they actually use and sell in Ecuador. And so I keep mine as a reminder that, yes, you can be functional, and this is income for some people, okay? This one, of course, is one of my favorite. And when I had my wood shop here at in the back of Lab 112, it used to be a wood shop, bandsaw, circular saw, table saw, drill press. I had all my everything. And then at some point, the curriculum decided that it was obsolete to teach you guys these things. And so they went away. But guess what? It's coming back around. Now my tools are all gone. So that would be a huge budget to replace them. But I have to tell you that the tools did go to the Native American, a lot of it. The ceramic, where we fire the ceramics, got donated to the reservation. So I was glad that it had some use. On this one was a project that was actually made in the wood shop. And it's a zoo box for pediatrics, and it's all the animals and this group of students who made this took, and you can see for J is for jaguar, Okay, but I guess I need to show this. J is for jaguar. Okay. All right. H is for hippopotamus. And they all connect in a chain. And so it's perceptual motor. And I was supposed to give this away, but I couldn't. This is a yak. Okay. And so for using it in pediatrics, of course, they're learning the animals, they're learning the alphabets, and it's perceptual motor because they have to put the puzzles together, and it's fine motor. Okay. C is for camel. I know. I love it. W is for walrus. Oh, I know. A is for alligator. And it took a long time. And I said, are you, when I taught woodworking, they had to plan it out, how much wood it would take, the type of wood, the type of paint. All of these things had to be considered for longevity. And you can see that all of the animals fit in the alphabet zoo. Yeah. So, and here's the pink flamingo. And if you know Charlotte Royeen, you've probably heard her name before in our practice. She was one of the Eleanor Clark Schlegel lecturers, and she also served as an associate dean. She was here before she went to St. Louis. And she loved flamingos because she said that when God made those flamingos, there was so many neurological things he must have been thinking about because they are so different than other birds. And then, of course, we have a unicorn. So you can look at these later, okay? But that's the alphabet zoo. And this is an idea of things that you can do with your clients. If you can't do them in wood and you don't have time, depending on how you're going to use them, you might do them in paper. You might opt to do them in clay, okay? But it depends on what age group you're working with and do you have to worry about them getting growth, okay? So that's some ways in which creative occupations is used in wood. And every opportunity that I get, now I can't say I had my patients do woodworking, but I can talk about it in terms of what? Sanding, force, strength, range of motion, okay, and repetition and strength. So I can document it that way. Okay. One of my all-time favorites too is leather work. I didn't bring all the leather things today, but in terms of leather, I'll look at the easy ones first. At the VA, I was always looking for things that were actually easy to do. Yeah, I say easy, a little bit challenging, has a lot of steps, and can be continued over a period of time, okay? Because some of the clients that I treated at the VA were there 3 months, 6 months to a year, or they were discharged or they came back. And this is just a simple little link belt that has multiple steps. It's great for cognition because they have to cut out the links, okay? Then they feed it through here. Each one of these feeds through. And as you keep going, you have a belt, okay? And they come in different colors, so I can color code it. Every third one is turquoise or every fourth one is red or blue. And they come in black, they come in all colors, okay? But for clients that I really wanted to challenge, they didn't get these simple ones. That's an easy one to, this one versus this one. In mental health, they're gonna have a success. If I want a fast success, I have them do this one, okay? And I also have used floor mats, and I have them put the floor mat, it looks like columns on, and I put it on an easel, and they have to, every other one, bring it together, and when they're done, they've made a floor mat, okay? Okay, on this leather belt, the cool thing about this one is you put the leather lacing, and this is just strips of lacing that's put over the top of the belt loop. This is not here. This comes last, okay, the loop. And you weave right to left, right to left, right to left each time. And when you keep going and you keep going, you end up with a belt, okay? And there are no holes in this because you can actually just hook it together. This takes quite a while to do. I've also used a whole leather belt and stripped it in 3s or 6s and braided it in and out. There's a way that you do that. And clients usually like it. Doesn't matter if it's men or women, they like it. You can dye this red, black, green, blue, whatever you want. Okay, so that's a way that we use leather. And as you're sitting there thinking, you should be thinking about, oh, I know a patient that could have benefited from doing that. You know, a lot of our clients go home from rehabilitation and they sit there in front of the television and they're always like, they come in to their outpatient appointments and you said, did you do your exercises? Well, no. Okay. Or the wife will sometimes say, I can only get him to do one set of exercises. But if you set it up, this doesn't have to be, if you set it up so that it's challenging, laying down flat versus pinned on the wall. So now you have to hold your hands up and do it. But you also have to know COPD and cardiac status because some patients can't do what? Work against their heart or work that height, at that height. All right, I'm going fast. What do you think? What do you think about this? Beautiful. It's beautiful, isn't it? And oh, let me pick it up and show. This is a quilt, okay? And you can see there are lots of designs on this quilt, okay? And I'll see if I can get to the pink one. There's a lot of meaning in this quilt, and you'll see in just a second as soon as I can find the pink one on here. If I ever find it. I should have marked it. Ah, here it is. Okay. This quilt, and I'll put it under so you guys can see. This quilt has initials, MBY. And this is my mother-in-law's initials. And my husband, you guys would never know this, he's an only child. And I have lots of brothers and sisters, but he only had his mom. It was just him and his mom growing up. And she got really, really sick and passed away. And I used to call her Mama B. She, my mother-in-law, she was the one that was at the grocery store jumping up and down with me, telling the people that I was bothering her. Okay, yeah. And she's trying to get me arrested for taking her sweet rolls out of the basket and putting in vegetables. Because she was not into that. She wanted to eat coffee, cigarette, sweets. That was her thing. Okay. So I called her Mama B. And so when she passed away, I was trying to help my husband deal with the grief of not having his mom because he'd had her all his life. So I took all of her day dresses, all of them that he was used to seeing her in. These are the pockets from all of her day dresses. And so I took it to a seamstress and had her make it into a quilt. And so for Christmas, she passed away in like October. And so for that Christmas, I put this quilt in a big box and gave it to my husband. I thought he was going to lose it. And he said, this is Mama. He said, it has her smell, and it does, from all that smoking in her clothes. And so I didn't think, he says, where are you taking my quilt this morning? He's like, Linus. I said, it'll be back. Just chill. But this is all of her favorite day dresses. And this has meaning to my husband, even though he didn't make it. And every time he goes and looks at it, I said, this is like weird. You're looking at the Super Bowl with your blanket on you, your blankie. But, and it makes me feel good that I was able to do that for him. So as I'm thinking about this, how often do we have clients who actually either did quilting or would like to learn this? And it doesn't, if you can't sew, you can draw it, okay? And then have someone else put it together for them. Smaller quilts for children, larger quilts, and then larger quilts. But I'm just trying to get you to think of, would I use this in the clinic? Absolutely. Are there women who like to crochet and knit? Absolutely. I can't knit, I have to tell you. That knit one, purl two is way over my head, but I can crochet. My sister is a knitter, though. She said, if you would just sit down and if you would just concentrate, you would be able to do it, okay? My mother is a baker. That's her. I don't bake cakes. I make real food. and she knows that. If I make the cake, don't eat it. My last summer I was home, and my mother's been having some heart issues, and so what I did was I said, come on, let's make a cake together. She's going to show me how to make her famous pound cake. So she tells me what to do, and I do it. I make this cake. Then we invite my brother up, and he has, oh wow, Mom made a cake. And I said, yeah, she made a cake. You can have ice cream. You can do this. He tasted the cake, and he says, oh God, this is not Mama's cake. How much did you do? And I said, quite a bit. And so, and she got the biggest kick out of that, because it took us all out. Normally it takes my mother an hour to bake a cake. It took a whole afternoon to bake a cake, because she had to keep sitting down. She had to keep resting. And so it's those kinds of things that keep our patients going, though. And instead of sending them home with an exercise program, if we send them home with a creative occupation that has the same biomechanical principles or the neuromuscular principles that we're trying to get at, then our clients are happier and they're much more willing to do it. That's my spiel. Any questions? Okay, so now I've got to ask, what creative occupations do you guys like to do? What creative occupations do you guys like to do? You need a mic for this. You didn't know we were having a class. It may not work. Okay. Oh, it's on. Okay, now it's on. Okay, what creative occupations do you guys like to engage in?
Well, I like to paint and I like to dance.
Paint and dance. What kind of dance?
Well, all kinds, but I previously did modern dance, and now I just do social dancing like salsa, and recently swing a little bit.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's exciting. So you can so we can have swing night.
Well, I don't know if I feel so comfortable with swing night, but maybe I feel more comfortable.
I mean dance.
Oh yeah, okay. We can have dance.
No, I mean dance. I don't know where you were going with that, but I mean dance. Okay. Uh-huh. That's awesome.
I like sewing. I did board when I was a kid and always loved to sew. Well, I haven't had an opportunity to do this recently, but I enjoy ceramics.
Scrapbooks?
Ceramics.
Oh, ceramics. Oh, do you like raw clay or do you like greenware? Or both?
I was my background was in art. My concentration was ceramics. I liked it.
She's awesome. Yeah.
So you have a lot you can use it. You guys have a lot you can use in the clinic. So why don't, before you go, JP, so be thinking about how you can teach your clients to dance. One year, to thank the clients for coming to class, we had a dance night. Clients with spinal cord injuries and played music in Sarah's place, and they danced with us. And they were not afraid. They were actually excited to be doing that. Okay, JP?
I like to paint. We posted it, but it's fun.
Oh, really? You're,
Really good. Our paintings all over our house.
so you know the next creative occupations meeting, you have to bring it so you guys can show some of your work. So are you going to donate it for bidding?
I'm sorry.
Are you going to donate it so we can bid and raise money for creative occupations?
Nobody will want it. That's
You-
better.
you-
That's better at art.
Well, both of you should bring one, and we, yeah.
You
You-
wanted this painting, my little sister did it for dance team auction, and it sold for $300.
Not by itself.
There was a frame, but it was sold. It got
For
sold
$300?
with a few other things, but somebody has it in their house.
You know, you guys you got to get to the point that you own your work, because sometimes as OT practitioners, and it took me a while to get to this point, that what I do is valuable and that people will pay me to do it. And if you don't overcharge and you have some sense about what you're charging, but you have to own that what I'm doing is valuable and I'm going to school so that I can provide the service and be reimbursed for it. And it's okay to be paid for your service. Okay? So sell and pay me. Okay.
Okay, so I like workout classes. I want to be certified in body attack, so kind of like a dance, aerobic exercise. It's like that.
Uh-huh.
That's my thing.
And so can you have it such that there are several different layers so people can participate from their chairs?
Yeah.
So you'll be doing that this summer with your clients in the clinic and inviting them to do that, and you'll be modifying it. How cool is that? Yes.
Okay, I like, is this working? Yeah, it is. I like a lot of different creative occupations, but lately I've kind of liked like card making or kind of like calligraphy. I don't do it a whole lot, but I like to do it as like gifts or like Christmas cards and stuff. So I've been trying to work on that. So it's kind of fun.
That's awesome. There's a lady, when clients come to class, one of the physicians over at the Med Center who worked with me on an obesity project had all these handmade cards, and I was amazed at how much work this. I didn't want to give them to the patients. They were so pretty, but I had to because that's what they were made for. I want to keep them.
I like to dance.
What kind?
I was like classically trained in ballet and jazz, and then I did dance team in high school and college.
And so I'll be thinking, I always say dance. In one of the research groups 2 years ago, we went to Girls Inc. and we did a project of how girls perceive different types of dance as managing their weight. And we had some really interesting findings from that study. Yeah. So dance is wonderful. And you may not know it, but the National Institute of Health just funded a person that I know for several $1 million grant just to look at dance in adolescents. Wasn't there, should have been. Isn't that amazing though, that they want to know if they can get adolescents to dance more to keep weight down since they're not getting physical activity through recess.
Well, I've always thought it's a really good like self-confidence thing too. You know.
And then it's looking at, are girls afraid to dance because of how they look to other people when they dance? That was a big thing. And most of the girls says, heck no, you just do your own thing. Yeah.
I also love to dance and I like scrapbooking as well.
You know, our administrative assistant, Jackie, I think she told you guys this. She takes a week off every summer and does scrapbooking. I said, how do you, and she is adamant about that. Don't call me, don't email me because I am scrapbooking.
I like to crochet and knit, and then I like a lot of needlework, cross stitching, plastic canvassing.
So have you started to use magnifying glass yet with cross stitch?
Not yet, but there's definitely days where I'm like, I need more play.
So and if we were adapting that for elders, and there's so many elders that love doing cross stitch, but can't see how to do it anymore. And we can do that, make the print larger and put a magnifying glass over it so they can see how to do it. And if they can't do it with a needle, then they could do, well, what else? Instead of embroidery thread, perhaps they could do it with yarn with a larger needle.
That's why I think plastic canvas is cool, because it's like, sometimes I have a hard time holding the fabric for cross stitching, because plastic canvas is like firm, so it doesn't pull on you, and it's like easier to maneuver, and you use yarn, so it's thicker and there's bigger needles. So if you couldn't do cross stitching anymore, that would be a good like alternative.
That's cool. So be thinking of ways. Oh, we got two more people to modify our creative occupations so that our clients can use it.
Well, I also like to crochet and I love actually interior design. So whenever I get the opportunity to like design rooms or like with decorating for spring banquet, like I'm all into that. So and also just like painting, collaging, photography. I kind of do a lot of things. So
Okay, everybody knows this. So what's your favorite HGTV show for interior design? We gotta know.
don't have cable, so I don't watch HGTV.
That's all I
Fixer
want.
Upper?
Fixer upper.
I want to go to Waco.
I just wish they would tell the truth about what the stuff costs to do it. You never see that.
The houses are cheap at least.
The houses.
But,
Uh,
our Texan friends tell us there are reasons behind that. There's like nuclear explosions in pieces every once in a while in Waco.
Or like, outside.
Okay, because Gabby and Clint and Ashley told me that once, and I was like, oh, you're crushing my dreams. Because I was like, that'd be so
You
cool.
wanted to move to Waco so they could do a house for you?
Well, yeah, and then like there's lots of jobs in Texas for OTs and Baylor's there, so.
This is true. So you never can tell. But I'm an HGTV fan too. Yeah. The bad thing is you turn it on and 5 hours later you're still watching. Ready?
Yeah. I like
Put the mic. Oh, there you go. Repeat it because we couldn't hear you.
cooking, maybe. I like coloring. I like to write often so that I can one day share that with people.
Yeah, because clients who you ask them all the time, well, what do you like to do? Then you tell them what you like to do, but you don't show them how that they can do it or modify it. One of the research studies that we did with the group last year is after clients are discharged from rehabilitation, we want, and these are clients who've had CVAs, once they go home, we wanted to know what was their perception of their level of wellness. And my eyes were, I guess I was walking around in the fog. But qualitatively, what they said was just like, oh my God. Yes, I can get dressed, but how many times can I get dressed? I can't go to the ballpark. I can't go bowling when I get ready to go bowling. And I don't have the support to do the things before that I really enjoyed doing that made me feel like I was well. Bowling with my friends, that kind of thing. And they go, I wish that OT, and they said OT, would move beyond the ADLs and teach me how to modify the things that I really enjoy doing. Isn't that amazing? And then how long do these feelings of wellness, and most of them say, I'm still kind of depressed because I can't do these things. I don't drive anymore. So therefore I can't access the things. So we need to ask them, and a client hit it on the head. We need to ask them before they leave rehab, before they're discharged, what creative occupations do you want to do? Get it set up for them before they leave so that they have a greater opportunity to at least make it a probable success for them. That's all I got to say. I'm done.
Thank you so much for
You're welcome. You got to get the quilt back on.
Help yourself to some buffalo dip and grapes if you like.
Cookies, chocolate chip cookies. No,
No,
no cookies. Thank you.
I know. That was cool that you mentioned wood burning.
Oh, I love this quilt. But it's for when he goes downstairs in his man cave and he cuddles up with his mom.